Assalamu alaikum, dear ADP arts students. I hope you have prepared summary of the old man in the sea for the test, and though there were no questions on that on the novel, but the purpose was to make you prepare the summary of the novel, and this was exactly what we had done. We had completed our study of the novel, and then it was the main points of the summary, the main events of the novel that we had done in the previous lectures. From now onwards, we are going to do the important questions on this novel. The very first question which I have decided we are going to do today is about Santiago, the fisherman, as an experienced fisherman. Now, this is an important question from the examination point of view. Students, this mostly the question about the character sketch of Santiago or Manolin, they are whenever they are asked, mostly when they are asked in the paper, it is on one aspect of their personality that is usually focused by the examiner. So the most focused uh, uh, personality aspect of Santiago by your examiners is is this experienced fisherman? What kind of fisherman Santiago was? So you have to tell it whether you have found him to be an experienced fisherman or not. You may contradict with this statement. You could say that no, Santiago was not an experienced fisherman, and then you could produce evidence to support your viewpoint. But if you agree with the statement that Santiago was an experienced fisherman, then in that case, things become easier for you, as it is what most of the people say about Santiago, and as it is obvious from the novel as well. Now, for the sake of your understanding, I'm going to go through the answer now. One thing you should keep in mind, the question and answers which I'm going to share with you are sample question answers. Okay, being a student, it is your job to further add up to these sample question answers. Okay, so these are only the guidelines which are being provided to you. Okay, so Santiago is the center. Santiago as an experienced fisherman. Now we know that he was an old fisherman, but we are told in the very beginning of the novel, on the very first page, that though he was, everything about him was old except his eyes, because he was optimistic, and then there were scars on his hands, and they were there were marks on the back of his neck made by the scorching sun, which all indicated that this wrinkled man, this wrinkled weak man, was an experienced fisherman, and he had been on the sea fishing. Now, Santiago is a central character of the novel, The Old Man and the Sea. Agreed? He's an experienced and seasoned fisherman. So, he was an experienced fisherman. He has spent all his life at sea. He lived near the Hawaii uh, port. He's quite familiar with the weather and the moods of the sea. We have seen while going through the novel that how he sniffed the air, how when looking at the sky he could tell when the morning would break. He learns beforehand when the light breeze will blow and for how long it will continue. The old man is a fearless and brave fisherman. He goes far out in the sea where no other fisherman can dare go. Where are you going? Manolin asks him on the eve of the 85th day adventure. Far out, replies Santiago. It was far out, replies Santiago. He sails in the sea without fear, all alone for 3 days and 3 nights. This shows that the old man is an experienced and fearless fisherman. Now, so how could we say that Santiago was an experienced fisherman? He was a seasoned fisherman. It's another word for experienced man, a fisherman. Experience by looking at his decision. For the last 84 days, we are told that he had been unable to catch a single fish. And because of his inability to do so, people had started mocking him. They had started making fun of him. As I hear, they had started making fun of him so much so that Madeleine's parents had forcefully taken him to another boat. Madeleine, who did not want to leave Santiago, who had learned fishing uh, by Santiago, who loved Santiago like his father, he was forced just because Santiago had failed to hook a big fish, a real big fish. So we had learned that it was a matter of prestige and honor for Santiago to catch a big fish. And since for 84 days he had been unable to catch a fish, he had made an important and daring decision, and that decision was to go all alone by himself out in the deep sea. And that he did on the 85th day. And there was no inkling of fear. The old man was not a bit fearful. He was not afraid of going out there. We are told that not young people did, even young people did not dare to go out or in the sea, in the deep sea. Why? Because there were dangers out there. They could be bigger creatures, like they could be sharks attacking the boat. They could or anything untoward, anything dangerous could happen over there. But the old man, he was such a confident person just because of his experience at sea that he dared to go deep in the sea. We are told that he was so much experienced that he could feel the light breeze when the light breeze will come when by looking at the shore of one school of Oneta. He knew that there would be his big fish. Okay, so this was the first argument. Then we are told that Santiago has full knowledge of fishing. We know he fails to hunt a fish for the last 84 days, but he does not lose heart. He tells the boy that his big fish must be somewhere. The old man feels confident of defeating his powerful foe, enemy, because he knows the old man number of tricks because he knows number of tricks because he knows number of tricks. And then the old man had a long experience of hooking fish. The boy Madeline, let me make a correction of it here. He knows a number of tricks and has the old man feels confident of defeating his powerful foe because he knows a number of tricks and has long experience of hooking fish fishes. Now, remember, girls, the plural of fish is always fish. But when we talk about different varieties of fish, we say fishes. That's why the word fishes is used over here. The boy Madeline is fully convinced of the old man's skill in fishing. He regards him the greatest fisherman he has known. He tells the old man there are many good fishermen and some great ones, but there is only you. So remember, before going on the great adventure on the 84th day, Santiago, when having a chat with the boy, Madeline was showed his worry for the old man, so going to the deep sea all alone by himself. But the old man had told him that though he was old, yet he was a strange old man who knew many tricks to catch a fish all by himself. Upon which Madeline agreed to him, and he said that there are many great fishermen, but he was the greatest. So the old man was an experienced fisherman. What is the second argument? The second argument is that the old man had not lost his heart. He had not become disappointed, and and what was the reason of his not getting disappointed, of his not getting as the mistake? The reason was that the reason of his confidence was that he knew a number of tricks, and he had a long experience of hooking big fish. Therefore, he had not lost his heart. He was still confident. And then the old man is fully conversant with the handling of fishing apparatus. He knows at what depths he should maintain the various spades, sorry, BAIT as spades. Awaits. The author tells us how Santiago handles the fishing lines. He kept them straighter than anyone did. His technique of hooking the fish is exact, but he wants luck. And as for luck, Santiago expresses this opinion. It is better to be lucky, but I would rather be exact. Then when luck comes, you are ready. He can tell the difference between the blowing noise made by a male porpoise and the sign or noise made by a female porpoise. He knows also that a marlin always lets the female uh, feed, feed first. So the old man, third argument, that he was an experienced fisherman. What is the third argument? That he was very much familiar. He was very much adept at handling. He was handling fishing apparatus. For instance, he knew at which length he should fix his at which length he should throw his lines. He should keep his baits, and we are told by the novelist that he kept the line straighter than anyone else, and moreover, the old man his technique of hooking the fish is exact. But at that time, he was also desperate to catch a big fish. Therefore, he was waiting for the luck to come him. So he had not left any stone unturned to keep himself prepared to catch a big fish. Okay, he set his lines exactly where he want, exactly at the depths where he wanted to keep them. He kept them straight. He had made all the arrangements to catch a big fish, and then he waited for the luck to come. And the old man had expressed the same thing in his words when he says that I would rather be exact, so that when luck comes, you are ready. And then the old man was also an experienced fisherman, a seasoned fisherman who had spent all his life on the sea, so much, and that had made him, that had helped him to recognize the difference between a male porpoise and a female porpoise voice. He could know when he could, by listening to the noise made by a porpoise, he could tell whether it's a male porpoise or a female porpoise. And he also knew that male fish always lets female fish feed first. So it was all because of his knowledge of his knowledge of because of his experience at sea, because he was an experienced fisherman. Then, in conclusion, indeed, he is an expert fisherman. He is highly philosophical and idealistic in ideas. Unlike other fishermen, he is a man of ideas. He is fully aware of the results of good or bad deeds. During his fight with the big marlin, he prays to Mary in his own way. He at first thinks of killing the marlin. He at first thinks killing of marlin as a big sin. He at first think of killing the marlin as, as a big sin. But later on, he justified it as a professional act. He makes the philosophical remark, everything kills everything else in some way. In some way. So, on the basis of On the basis of these points, on the basis of the arguments presented above, we can say, and presented over here, we can say that old man was indeed an expert fisherman. However, he was different from other fishermen. How he was different? He was highly philosophical and idealistic. And what does it mean? He was a man of ideas. What does it mean? He was a way that he was a philosophical man of ideas and idealistic. What does it mean? It means that he was fully aware of the results of good or bad deeds. He would not thanklessly act. He would always think of his actions. He would think about his action and ponder upon them. He would ponder upon their consequences. For example, during his fight with the big marlin, he prayed to God. He prayed to Mary that he would catch that big fish. But at the same time, he felt that it was a big sin that he was committing. Okay. He also thought about the people. Remember, he also thought about whether the people who would feast upon the meat of this or the flesh of this marlin would be worthy of it or not. Remember, this Santiago had asked this question. So it was something which other fishermen would never say. And then he would think that killing. And again, he had made his justification for killing the marlin, whom he came to appreciate for its struggling spirit. That everything kills everything else in some way. So, on the basis of this was how he was different. Now, on the basis of these points, you could say that the old man was an expert fisherman. Now, girls, you may add points to this answer from the video lectures which I had given you on this novel, and I would appreciate it. Now, moving on to the next important aspect of the novel. Now, the next question, it is, describe the old man's struggle against the sharks, or describe the fight between the old man and the sharks. Now, this is again another important topic on which, or important statement, which is usually asked by the examiners in your papers on this novel. Now, how would you answer it? Here is a sample answer for you. You may add or rephrase this answer. The old man tied the fish alongside the boat and set sail for home. So after killing the marlin, after stabbing the marlin, what old man did, he tied it to the boat and started happily for home. The old man then saw a shark coming towards him. It was a macaw shark. It had teeth like a man's fingers. When they were clung together like claws, they were as long as the gingirs of the old man. The shark began to cut off the meat from the body of the big fish. The old man hit the brain of the shark with his harpoon. The shark was fatally wounded. There was no life in the eyes of the shark. The shark took about 40 pounds of the meat of the big fish. He had sailed for 2 hours and rested in the back part of the boat. He saw two sharks coming towards him. He watched the shark coming. They were detestable sharks. He drove the knife again into the spinal cord of one of the sharks. Into the spinal cord of one of the sharks. The shark swallowed the best part of the fish, and it died soon. Now the other shark began to shake the boat. He was eating the big fish. The old man thrust the knife into his hide, that is skin. It wounded his hands and shoulders. The old man stabbed him in his left eye. The shark could not admit his fault. The old man drove the knife between the spinal cord and the brain of the shark. It also took 1/4 of the best meat of his big fish before he died. Then another shark came. His nose was like a shovel. He came with his mouth wide open. The old man left him with the fish. He drove the knife of the oar down into the shark's brain. At midnight, the shark came in a pack and attacked the fish. The sharks threw themselves on the fish. He struck them on their head with his club. One of the sharks seized the club and it was gone. The old man pulled the tiller from the rudder and beat the shark with it. The sharks tore off the pieces of meat of the big fish. The tiller was gone. The man stood defeated. He let the sharks eat the fish. There was left nothing of the fish except the skeleton. Except the skeleton, he thought only of steering the boat. And this was how the old man had fought with the shark. I hope you have understood this question because we have done this part of the novel in great detail. Now, if there is still any problem, you may ask me, but for the sake of your understanding, I would like to tell you that there were three incidents. First, there was a single shark which came over there along, but the shark was not all alone. There was another shark with it, which was hidden under the water, and it was shaping the boat, and it was eating the fish, the prey of the old man from under the sea. So the old man first killed the shark that was visible, and then he killed the shark that was under the sea. But these sharks they had eaten the best meat of his fish. And then another shark came, and the old man did not lose hope. During his fight with these sharks, he had said that a man is not made for defeat. A man can be destroyed but not defeated. And he had also contrived weapons to fight with the fish because when fighting with the sharks in the first attack, in the first result, he had lost his harper, and in the second, he had lost his knife. And then when third time he was attacked by a pack of sharks, he used his improvised weapon, and then he also used a stick, a club, to beat the fish. And he kept on fighting with the sharks till no meat was left on the no meat of the fish, till no flesh of fish of this prey was left. And when only skeleton was left, the sharks were no more there. He had nothing to do but to travel back to home, and that he did. So these are the two questions which I have covered with you today. I hope you have understood them very well. Now your job is to either rephrase these questions or whatever, rewrite these questions or add something more to these questions and write your own answers and prepare them, memorize them, learn them by heart. This is all for today. Thank you very much.